Today's Steelers Talk video is sponsored by RexMD. Go to rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off generic Viagra and Cialis today. Now let's get into today's programming here, where ESPN has linked Jonathan Taylor to the Pittsburgh Steelers after the Steelers get off to a really rocky start on offense here to start their 2023 campaign. Going to be breaking down this rumor in full today on Steelers Talk, but before we get into today's action, get us started here by judging this for me here. Grade the Steelers offense through the first 2 weeks of the season. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F to kick things off. I mean, how can you put it anything other than an F at this point, guys? I mean, let's just be completely honest with ourselves here that this offense has been the worst unit in the National Football League to start this season. And listen, some of these numbers here definitely prove that point. 19.6 yards per drive. They're getting less than 20 yards a drive, guys. That is dead last in the National Football League. Also, averaging just 8 offensive points per game. Also last in the National Football League. And then, 0.4 points per minute with the football. That's also 32nd last in the National Football League. These numbers absolutely need to get better. And a big reason why these numbers are happening is, yes, Matt Canada, but also the play of quarterback Kenny Pickett. We broke down his advanced stats yesterday. This is what they look like through the first 2 games. Negative 13.5 points, last in the National Football League to this point. Negative 30.93 expected points added, also dead last in the league. It's hard to have a good offense when your quarterback isn't doing a good job getting his receivers the football, and that's evidenced by the accuracy numbers there. 26th in the league in on-target percentage, and on-target percentage is the amount of throws, the percentage of throws that are perfectly on target, right on the receiver, and then catchable percentage just 74.6, which is last in the NFL, which of course means over a quarter of Kenny Pickett's passes have been deemed uncatchable. That is absolutely unacceptable, and that is of course last in the National Football League. So listen, my take on Kenny Pickett here is that if he continues to struggle, the Steelers' identity on offense absolutely needs to shift to being a power run game here with Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, or as we're going to talk about here, potentially Jonathan Taylor. And then you're going to have to rely on that defense to keep the score down for the opposing offense. And then you got to hope that the run game is able to completely wear down the opposing defense, score points when you need to, and then also make the big play at the end of the game. Now you take a look at what the Steelers have right now in running backs, Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, 16 carries to 9 with the splits there, 74 yards for Harris to Jaylen Warren's 26. Harris is actually averaging more yards per carry than Warren right now, quite a bit actually. 4.6 is actually not a terrible number there for Najee Harris. He had a couple of big runs against the Cleveland Browns that definitely helped that number, but Najee certainly hasn't been fantastic, as evidenced by that points above a replacement number that you see at the bottom of this graphic here. Less than a point is what he's been worth to this point through 2 weeks. And then you look at Jaylen Warren, when you take into account his receiving ability, which he's worth 3.3 points as a receiver, and then you add on the 0.2 points he's been worth as a rusher, he's the more valuable running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least to this point in the season. Now, I think something that definitely needs to be talked about as well is that this offensive line absolutely needs to get better. I know that in the past we have blasted the Steelers' offensive line time and time again. And I actually think that the offensive line isn't getting enough flack this time around. I think people are talking about Matt Canada. They're talking about Kenny Pickett. But take a look at these numbers, guys. I mean, every single member of this offensive line is ranking in the bottom 10 in the National Football League. Every single one. The best one is 61st out of 71 out of offensive tackles, and that's Chukwuma Okorafor with a grade of 46.8 according to Pro Football Focus. That's absolutely abysmal. James Daniels is the best graded offensive lineman on this team right now, and he's the 62nd highest ranked guard at 47.6. I mean, what are we doing? And then the big disappointment there, Isaac Seumalo, the big-time free agency pickup everybody was so excited for. Look at that number, 42.0, the second lowest on this offensive line to this point, the 64th out of 71 guards in the league through week 2. So that's absolutely abysmal, and I'm going to be talking about whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers need to think about trading for Jonathan Taylor to help fix some of the problems they have offensively here in just a second. But first, do you wish that you could have a more fulfilling sex life, guys? Well, you're not alone in that. That's why we're excited to tell you about RexMD, the online source for men's wellness, today's sponsor. RexMD offers an easy and discreet way to get the medication you need for ED without having to visit a doctor's office. With just a few clicks, you can have your medication delivered straight to your door and at a fraction of the cost of traditional pharmacies. RexMD's team of licensed physicians will work with you to find the right treatment plan, and their medication is made in the United States, so you can trust its quality. Plus, their customer support team is available 24/7 to answer any questions or concerns you may have. So if you're ready to take control of your sex life and say goodbye to ED, head on over to rexmd.com/chat and start your consultation today. Take advantage of their best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for $2 per dosage. Again, that's rexmd.com/chat for $2 per dosage today. All right, so now let's talk about Jonathan Taylor and whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers should go out and make a move for this guy, because ESPN listed the Steelers as one of the top trade destinations for Taylor leading up to the NFL trade deadline. We know that Omar Khan is much more aggressive than Kevin Colbert was here as the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett's not playing well. This offense needs a jolt, especially in the run game, I would say. And Jonathan Taylor, man, he's one of the best running backs in the National Football League. We're going to get to his numbers here in just a second, but this is the trade idea that ESPN had where we would send Najee Harris and a 4th-round pick in exchange for Jonathan Taylor. And I actually think this is a pretty decent compensation here if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this would be a pretty decent haul here if you are Omar Khan, and this is a pretty darn good value. But this is what Seth Walder, the article author here from ESPN, had to say. Improving the Steelers' ground attack would take pressure off second-year quarterback Kenny Pickett, who looked like he could use the help Monday night. It also would build on what already was a strong roster, ready to take a major step forward in the event Pickett breaks out. Continues to say here, Harris is a replacement level back. He failed to even reach 4.0 yards per carry and posted negative rush yards over expectation in each of his first 2 seasons. So I'd be happy to part ways with him if I was the Steelers general manager. Don't tell the Colts I said that. The Indianapolis could sell Harris to its fan base as a bona fide running back only in his 3rd season, who represents a solid return for Taylor along with a draft pick. From the Steelers' perspective, I would be hoping to sell Taylor on the rest of this season, being a chance for him to prove his worth in a new offense and prove the Colts wrong. And then he finishes off here by saying, if all goes well, fresh contract talks could open up at the end of the season. Now, you take a look at Jonathan Taylor's numbers throughout his career here. Of course, in 2021, he was the best running back in football. You take a look at those numbers, man. 5.5 yards per carry and 18 touchdowns, man. This guy's an absolute workhorse when you look at it there and you look at the career stats. 5.1 average, 33 total touchdowns, and getting close there to 4,000 yards. He's still relatively young, guys. He was just drafted a couple of years ago. And listen, I think that these numbers are very impressive. They definitely took a step back last year. The Colts offensive line wasn't quite as good. Taylor dealt with some injuries, and now he wants out of Indianapolis. So, should the Pittsburgh Steelers go ahead and trade for Jonathan Taylor? I'm going to let you know what I think about that here in just a second here. But first, let me know what you guys think about this trade idea. You be the GM here. You be Omar Khan. Let me know down there in the comments section right now. Are you taking this trade offer if Chris Ballard, the Colts GM, gives you a call? Type A if you would accept this trade, or type D if you're declining it. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me, if it's this compensation, Najee Harris and a 4th-rounder for Jonathan Taylor, I am 100% taking this trade. No question whatsoever, man. The Steelers are absolutely desperate for an identity on offense right now. Najee Harris, in my opinion, to this point, has not given them that, even though Matt Canada has continuously said they want the run game to be the identity of this team. Kenny Pickett, if he continues to struggle, it's not going to be on the quarterback this year, guys. You need a solid run game to shorten games, allow the defense to win you football games here, just like they did on Monday Night Football. And if you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who could be an absolute workhorse for you. Jonathan Taylor's the type of guy where even against stacked boxes, like even against teams that know you're running the football, he can be the guy that delivers for you time and time again. He's still relatively young. I think he's got the kind of Pittsburgh mentality that you look for. And if you're really trying to be that ground and pound run game here in Pittsburgh and you don't have a quarterback that's going to be capable of really leading this offense, that's not a prediction. I'm just saying if you feel that way, Jonathan Taylor is an excellent option here, especially if all the draft capital you're giving up is a fourth-round pick and a running back here that you're probably going to pay anyway in Najee Harris. So I think this would be a pretty decent move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, given the talent on the defensive roster already, given all the talent that's on this roster as a whole. I just think that you have to make a move for somebody here if you're going to save this season, because there's just too much talent on this football team to just waste another year and just kind of put up your hands and throw in the towel and just kind of give away another season. I'm not willing to do that. So if Kenny Pickett isn't the answer here and he can't lead this offense, I want to go get a running back that can do so. Now, that's going to be it for today's show. I want to give some Twitter shout-outs here. I'm going to say this right now. The first 5 people after this video goes out that follows me on Twitter, at Jack_Sperry on Twitter, by the way, I'm going to give you a shout-out on Sunday during the watch party for Sunday Night Football, all right? So I want to give a little bit of a shout-out to the last 5 people that followed me on Twitter. So shout-out to Buckmaster, Ben 10, Russ G's, Tim K. Martin, and Bill Dunstan Jr. Thank you so much for your guys' support. Again, the first 5 people to follow me after this video goes out are going to get a special shout-out at the beginning of the Steelers Talk live watch party for Sunday Night Football between the Steelers and Raiders on Sunday night. All right, so that's going to be it for today's show, again. But if you are a real one and you made it to the end of today's show, let me know down there in the comments section by typing real one in all caps to let me know that you made it here and that you are a real one. You make it to the end of these videos. Without you guys, the real ones, this channel could not exist. So I want to extend my gratitude to you guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you give. I will see you guys later. And as always, here we go, Steelers.